Once upon a mundane morning, Barb's day got busy without warning. A realtor in need of an open house sign. No, 50 of them, and designed before 9.
My head hurts.
Any mighty tools to help with this plight?
Aha!
Barb made her move. She opened Canva and got in the groove.
Bulk creating Canva sheets. Create 50 signs fit for suburban streets.
Done in a click, all complete.
Sweet!
Now, imagine what your dreams can become when you put imagination to work at canva.com.
Hey there, Duke fans. Welcome to DBR Bites, episode number 118. We are here to mostly preview, the Duke football game coming up this weekend against Clemson. They go to the other Death Valley on the road, a big test for the Blue Devils. I am Donald Juan. I'm your host for this episode. I have Jason Evans with me. Jason, I have a surprise for you as I sniff by.
Oh, let me see. It is
baby. Done. It is done. We have all of the Stats Game trophy is completely updated. It has all the way up to 2025 with your name on it, and it has all of the other years that we have done the Stats Game. All 10 years are now reflected on the trophy. So,
you know what? Wait, I don't remember who has won the most. I think it's you. Who's won the most times? 10 years.
Well, let's just real quickly, because it's DBR Bites, we love overanalyze on DBR Bites. Let me just go through the years, shall we? We can just do that real quick.
Go.
2015, 2016 was won by you, Jason. 2016 and 2017 was actually split by the two of us. 2017 and 2018, Sam got his lone victory. 2018-19 was you, Jason. 2019-2020 was myself. Jason, you then won the next year in 2021. 2022 was me. Jason, you won 2023. I'm sorry, I was 2022. You were 2023. I won last year, 2024. And then this past season in 2025, Jason, was you. So we have split, basically. We have alternated. It's 6-4.
6-4, and Sam has won once.
Yeah, and basically since 2018-19,
so yeah.
2018-19, we have alternated every single year. So Jason, that means this year I'm going to win. So just go ahead and pack it in.
Yeah, we'll see. By the way, that's a great way of teasing the fact that we'll be doing the Stats Game with Sam and with Scott Rich later this week. I think we're going to do it on Friday, we said. So look for that over the weekend, folks. And we'll have our preseason predictions via the Stats Game for you.
Yeah, we have a lot of content coming up over the next few days, going into the weekend, even early into next week, because as we know, the basketball season, the regular season begins on Tuesday with the trip to Charlotte to take on the University of Texas. But we will leave that for a later date. Let's focus on the football. As I mentioned, Duke football takes to the road this weekend. They face the Clemson Tigers, 12 noon Eastern time on ACC Network. And Jason, as we get into this Clemson team, we've kind of opined about this a little bit on this show. This is one of the worst Clemson teams we've seen in a very long time. Probably the worst one that we've seen, at least under Dabo Swinney during his tenure. They are 3-4, 2-3 in the ACC, and
I was going to say I don't think they're quite the worst Clemson. The worst Clemson team I think was in 2010. They were barely. I think they were below 500 back then. But
yeah, but that was his first. When was his first year?
It was his third year. He was from 2008 to 2010. He was at Clemson. Dabo Swinney was, and he was building up that program. Since 2010, they've been really, really good virtually every year.
If you consider the Dabo era, no one counts the Dabo era as 2008 to 2010. They start in essentially 2011, when you saw their rise, and that for a long time they were arguably the best program in college football. Now they look like a shell of that program. Again, 2-3 in the ACC. Their wins, Jason, are against Troy, UNC, and BC. Now they blew out UNC. They blew the doors off of BC. But I guess you would say the teams that are decent or good that they've played so far this year, they've lost every single one of them. They lost the opener to LSU in the Battle of Death Valleys. They lost to Georgia Tech. They lost to Syracuse, and they lost to SMU. And I think in those 4 losses, they kind of got exposed as, obviously they came into the season with high expectations. They were in the top 10. They fast crash out of the top 25. And now with the loss last week to SMU, or was that 2 weeks ago? The loss to SMU in the last game 2 weeks ago means they're out of any contention for the ACC championship game, which is one of the goals that they always set every season. It's almost like one of the things they feel like they can check mark in week 2. Now they have to focus on figuring out how to get into a high bowl game. But on Duke's side, we still have some opportunity here. It may be a small window of hope, but that window is still there. It's still open. And to do that, to get back on the right track, we come off of the loss a couple of weeks ago to Georgia Tech. We now have to turn it around against the Tigers.
Yeah, you mentioned it. They were preseason number 4. Let's be real. I mean, this was a team that everyone really thought was close to being a lock to make the college football playoff. And here they are. That's a distant, at this point, they're like, do we maybe make the Pinstripe Bowl, the Alamo Bowl? I mean, like it's that kind of season for them. And by the way, I think it's sort of telling how far Clemson has fallen. This Duke Clemson game will be played at noon on the ACC network. That channel, that start time, that says something about how far Clemson has fallen, because ordinarily, like, every Clemson game was going to be on ESPN or something like that. And, ACC network for Clemson's not good.
The last time Duke and Clemson faced each other, it was on Labor Day night on ESPN.
Yeah.
And we all know what happened in that game. But I mean, that was a spectacle. That was an event that Clemson was like, ho hum, we're in on a Labor Day night as the national televised game. And we were the team that was like, holy crap, this is our chance here to really show America what we're about. And we came out swinging. And in that season, save for maybe an injury or two, we could have done something great. But I think this time around, this one team that's coming off of a loss and another team in Clemson that is really reeling and trying to, as you mentioned, figure out who they are, because who they are is not what they were expecting themselves to be at the beginning of the season.
No, it's certainly not. And I wanted to mention, let me get into at least some of the stats, some of the things to be aware of regarding this Clemson team. Cade Klubnik, of course, is the quarterback. He was a Heisman contender coming into the season. The expectations were that he would be, among the 5-10 best quarterbacks in the country, and that has not been the case by any stretch of the imagination. He hurt his ankle, and he missed the entire game against SMU, a game that they lost. But I don't know that Clemson fans were all that upset about it. They got to see their backup quarterback Christopher Vizina. And he threw for 300 plus yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't know that Clemson fans were like, oh no, we were missing Cade. They're sort of like, let's check out the new guy. Let's see what he can do. On the season, Klubnik has 5 interceptions. That's just a lot for your quarterback. And Clemson has been really turnover prone this year. This Duke club, Donald, as we know, as we've mentioned many times, this Duke club has succeeded when the other team makes mistakes and Duke doesn't. And Clemson is the kind of team that you've been able to force into turnovers this year. Klubnik has thrown interceptions. They put the ball on the ground, and they've had 6 fumbles on the season. You can get turnovers against this Clemson club, and that's going to be a huge key to what Duke tries to do in this game. Now, aside from the passing game, I think one of the big problems Clemson's had on offense has been at running back. Most teams in the ACC have a running back rotation. Even at Duke, where we feel like we've discovered some things, we're still rolling, 3 different guys out there for the most part. Clemson is really rolling all season long with Adam Randall. He's been getting the vast majority of their carries. He's 6'2", 230. Tough to bring down, very much a downhill, bruising kind of rusher, not, a jitterbug who's going to juke you out of your shoes. He's also a big receiving threat. He had 2 really nice receiving touchdowns against UNC earlier this year. They've been using him a ton. He has, the vast majority of Clemson's carries on the year. They had a bye after the SMU game. And I'm sorry, after the BC game, whatever game it was, I forget, 2 weeks ago, they had a bye. And their offensive coordinator has been talking about trying to really shake up the run game a little bit. They've only been averaging 116 yards per game. I mean, that's not awful, but that's not what you usually see from a Clemson team. And their offensive coordinator said this week that he wants to see more guys get involved. They've got some highly touted freshmen who haven't played very much, haven't gotten a lot of touches, and you may see them get away from Adam Randall being like the main running back. Now, one of the reasons, Donald, that they have had so much trouble at running back and rushing is that they've had major injury problems on the front line. They've had several guys missing, huge chunks of time. Their starting left guard went down against SMU with a leg injury, and it seems pretty unlikely he's going to be back in time for this Duke game. The offensive line just isn't what Clemson is used to. And against a Duke club that appears to have at least, a couple few guys on the defensive line who are going to be playing on Sundays, playing in the NFL someday. This is a place where Duke could really exploit things against Clemson. And it's not just running back, it's being able to get into the backfield, whether it's Cade Klubnik or Christopher Vizina, getting back there and causing problems for the Clemson quarterback.
So I want to shift to the Duke side of things, because one stat that came out earlier today is that Duke, under Darian Mensah, has the most passing yards per game of any team in the country, at over 315 yards
I saw
per game, which is, first of all, incredible. And we knew that Darian Mensah, we were hoping that Darian Mensah was going to be the guy that kind of lights up the offense, but he's done that. I think the one thing, though, Jason, that we kind of saw a little bit against Georgia Tech, and has crept his head in earlier games in some occasions, you mentioned the running back carousel that we've had. Having a great throwing game is set up by having at least a good or decent running attack. Having those holes open so that teams have to sell themselves out on the run, that opens up the door for the pass. And you can't have it where we're throwing the ball 50, 60 times a game and only run the ball a couple times for a few yards. That's not going to get us downfield. But I like the balance that we've had so far in a few of these games, especially those games where we started to come back. You saw the balance start to creep down a bit, where we didn't have to rely on throwing the football all the time, which, as you mentioned, can lead to some of the mistakes that we've been making and some of the turnovers that we've had.
A couple other notes before we wrap things up, previewing the Clemson Tigers, at least in football. I mentioned earlier they had injury problems on the front line. They got injury problems in the wide receiving core as well. Their leading receiver, Bryant Westco, suffered a head injury, a pretty bad head injury in the SMU game, and they say he's done for the year. He was their primary threat through the air, and it means that they're going to have to be breaking in some new guys, giving guys opportunities that maybe they haven't had in the past in terms of the passing game. This Clemson club is, a shadow of the team that people thought was going to be in the preseason top 5. One other thing about their personnel I want to mention, I'm not sure he's going to get in the game, but Donald, you know who Clemson has at tight end for them? Ian Shefflin, guy who played a big-time player on the Clemson basketball team, used up all his basketball eligibility, but still had some football eligibility. 6'8", 265 pounds, great rebounder. Ian Shefflin has played a little tiny bit at tight end for Clemson this year. He caught a pass against UNC. I don't know. Maybe we'll see him on the field against Duke. That'd be kind of fun.
Jason, if he gets in the game and they throw an over-the-top pass to him, because they're going to try to do that. He's 6'10", 6'11". I would like him to dribble the football. I'd like him to revert to those old habits. Dribble the football a couple times, Ian, and we want to see those skills on the football field that translate to the basketball court. We want to see how those cross promote, if you will. So remember, grab the ball high, dribble the basketball, or dribble the football, I should say, and we will take care of the rest.
So I got last little note. This is serious. We've seen Duke struggle out of the gate against some teams, fall behind early and then have to come back. And Duke's been a great second half team. Really interesting situation to watch with Clemson. Clemson has been pretty good in the first half of their games. They're averaging more than 15 points per game in the first half of games. They have not been. They've scored 110 points in the first half of games. They've only scored 72 points in their second halves. So I said 15 points per game in the first half, averaging just 10 points per game in the second half. So if Duke falls behind early, this will not be a surprise for Duke and not be a surprise for Clemson. This is what Clemson typically does. And it is very much in the Duke playbook to come back late and outscore teams in the second half. Although I hope we bury them early and we don't have to worry about the second half comeback. Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be great, especially considering the history that we're going up against. It's been a very long time, as we've mentioned, that we've gone to Clemson and won a football game. And I know we haven't had a lot of opportunities in years past to do that, but also when we played Clemson, we played the juggernaut of the 2010s, and so we weren't getting those games. So I think for us to, we still have to walk in with the mindset of we want to break that stigma, right? Of walking into Death Valley and thinking, okay, all these games are gonna lose. And then funny enough, Vegas thinks we're 3.5 point underdogs. The ESPN index has us as a 41% chance to win. But I think this team can lock in after a week and try to get to Death Valley and emerge with the win. Let's take a quick break, Jason. On the other side, we're going to talk some basketball, but we're going to the NBA. We're talking about the Brotherhood after this. All right, we are back, and we turn our attention to the professional hardwood, the Brotherhood. Of course, the NBA tipped off this past week, and we are very excited. We've gotten to see quite a bit of games, Jason. And Jason, real quickly, I just want to note that of the 30 teams in the NBA, 23 of them employ Dukies, whether it's on the basketball court, whether it's on the sideline as a coach or developmental scout or something like that, or in the front office. And I, first of all, think that's incredible. I know that your Atlanta Hawks are represented very well. You have Jalen Johnson, you have Luke Kennard, you have Quinn Snyder as the head coach, Antonio Lang as an assistant coach. You want to lend some Dukies to anybody else, Jason? Like, anybody else needs to come to Atlanta?
I mean, hey, I'll take more. Give me all the Dukies. Although the problem would be 15 guys on the roster. We got like 25, 30, 24, I think, guys in the NBA. So we can't take all of them here in Atlanta. But yeah, I love having, anytime I go to a Hawks game, there are plenty of Duke guys to root for.
Yeah, and for my Detroit Pistons, we have Trajan Langdon, who's the general manager. We, some of the guys that were players have moved on, namely Marvin Bagley III, who is with the Wizards still. And so I'll get to see him whenever, guys like Cooper Flagg come to town, because, there's a couple of these teams that have multiple Dukies. You have the Mavericks, you have the Hornets, you have the Suns, obviously the Los Angeles Lakers don't have a lot of players, but their front office and the coaching staff is full of Dukies. JJ Redick's the head coach, Lindsey Harding is an assistant, Daniel Ewing is a scout. Wait, Jason, what's that sound? Daniel Ewing getting another technical. That's what that sound is. And Justin Robinson, friend of the pod, has just moved over there as a development coach. So, Jason, real quick for you, anything that you've seen so far in the first week? I know a lot of people have focused in on Cooper Flagg and the Dallas Mavericks. And Derek Lively, I think, has been performing well. But I think there's some other guys out there who have had a great first week in the NBA.
Yeah, both Sion James and Con Knippel have been playing really, really nicely. I don't think it's a huge surprise that Con's game is translating well to the NBA, but to see Sion and their teammates, obviously down there in Charlotte, Charlotte took Sion right at the beginning of the second round, and I think there were more than that was higher than you and I expected, and there were more than a few people who were a little bit like, oh, really? I mean, especially they took Con arguably a little tiny bit before some people thought maybe Con was going to go. People were a little bit like, yeah, what's Charlotte doing here loading up on the Dukies? Well, both Sion and Con are playing really, really good basketball. Sion especially has impressed me with his defense and just the variety of things he can do to help out the team. I wanted to shout out a couple other Dukies that are doing really great jobs. Grayson Allen is averaging more than 17 points per game. Down playing in Phoenix. That's a team that's not really going places, but Grayson's doing a very, very nice job for them. We have 4 Dukies averaging more than 20 points per game in the NBA. Paulo Banchero, of course, RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram, teammates, 2 wings, both playing together in Toronto. They're both averaging more than 20 points per game. Jalen Johnson's just a shade under 20. And then my man, Zion Williamson, with Jason Tatum out this season, Zion has taken it on himself to be the best Dukie in the NBA, I think. He's averaging 27 points per game, 9.5 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game. He is a threat to get a triple-double every single game. He had a game against San Antonio recently where he absolutely posterized Victor Wembanyama. No one else in the league is challenging Wemby at the rim. And Zion's like, I'm going to challenge him. Now, I'm going to admit, Wemby got Zion a couple times. But Zion got
he's
Wemby
7'5",
well.
He's supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. Now, The key for Zion, of course, he played their first 2 games, did great, like I'm saying, 27, 9.5, and 6, but he missed game number 3. Zion, please. Can you please he's day to day. Please get healthy, my friend. Please play 60+ games, Zion. Get to 60, baby. That would be big progress for you. And that would be a big deal for the New Orleans Pelicans. By the way, I think 60 is the number you need to be considered for like all NBA and that kind of stuff.
65 is the number. Yeah.
Is it 65? All right, Zion plays 65.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's going to make all NBA because I think New Orleans is going to be a disaster. And I think that a lot of people out there are very skeptical about Zion at this point. But dude, let's start to get it done. I say this because I love you. I say this because I think it'd be good for Duke's image. And I say this because Zion is once again on my fantasy team. Every year I draft Zion. My team is called the Land of Zion. Guys in my league joke and laugh about the fact that whatever round you think Zion should be taken in, Jason will take him 2 rounds before that.
So hey, we have our favorites.
Again. Yeah, I can't help it. I got him again, and I'm rooting for my man to have a good season this year.
So the last Dookie that I want to mention, because he's not yet on a roster, but he has been he's agreed to a contract with a team, is Seth Curry. Seth Curry was on the Hornets last year. He is joining his brother, Steph, on the Golden State Warriors. We talked about this briefly, Jason, a few weeks ago when we heard the news that has happened. However, the way that the salary cap works, there's like an apron, there's a luxury tax level, and Golden State is right around that luxury tax threshold that would kick in where they'd have to pay penalty and fines and stuff like that. So what they did was they signed Seth Curry to a free agent deal. They then had to waive him before the end of preseason so that he didn't put them over the luxury tax. And then I guess the way that it works is a couple of weeks into the season, that threshold kind of gets eliminated if you sign a guy for a certain amount of money. So Seth Curry is expected to sign in early November with the Golden State Warriors. I need to make this. I say this to make this note. If you see Curry 31 jerseys in Golden State Warriors on sale, that is not a typo. That is Seth Curry. Steph Curry, of course, wears number 30. So if someone asks you for a Steph Curry jersey and you give them a Seth Curry jersey, it's because the number is incorrect. It's not a DH Gate type of deal where they messed up on the knockoff. They're going to be 2 separate numbers, 2 separate players, but of course the Splash Brothers, the original Splash Brothers, the Curry brothers, are going to be playing together once again. I am looking forward to that whenever that takes place, Jason.
And by the way, you know that Del Curry, their father, also wore number 30 for the Charlotte Hornets. One of the great shooters in NBA history, Del Curry, until his son came along and stole the title from him. Hey, last thing I have, really quick. This is a guy who's not necessarily like just absolutely lighting up the stats and stuff like that. But I'm surprised at how well he's playing, and that is Trey Jones. In the offseason, Trey Jones signed a contract with Chicago, a 3-year, $24 million, $8 million a year contract. And the 3rd year is not guaranteed, like it's a club option. I was a little surprised that he got that much, but I was thrilled for him, obviously. Turns out this contract is a huge bargain. Turns out Chicago did a really good thing signing Trey to this contract because he is starting for them. He's averaging more than 13 points per game, averaging better than 8 assists per game, Trey. And currently, now I know the season's early. Currently, Trey Jones is hitting 57% of his 3-pointers. I don't think he's going to sustain that, Donald. But my man, 13 and 8 and 57% from 3, that's the best $8 million any team in the NBA is spending this season. Way to go, Trey.
And we've already gotten our first Jones jersey swap with his brother Tyus. It's a different jersey swap this year because Tyus is now with the Magic. He's now with the Bulls. So we got a nice new picture, which is very nice of the two of them. They played very early on last week. But Jason, I am looking forward to the NBA. I know you are as well. And those of you out there who follow the Dukies after they leave Duke, this is, I can't tell you how excited I am that this season has already started. My Pistons are doing pretty good. Jason, your Hawks are expected to do pretty good. Maybe we'll see each other in April in the playoffs. Maybe we'll have a nice April because there'll be a Final Four and then the NBA playoffs. That'd be great for me. I would love to have basketball all month long, but we will leave that for another day. that will do it for this episode of DBR Bites. Jason, thank you very much.
Donald, by the way,
yes.
Did you notice? DBR Bites, we're in it under 30 minutes. Do not chat anymore. We're just barely under 30. We got to keep it under, man.
I'm looking at the time and I was like, we were going to, and then you got us off track.
No!
I'm going to end it. No, I'm going to end it here. We're ending it here. Under 30 minutes. Just a nice little bite for you guys. We'll see you soon. Duke Band, take us home.